These comedy movies are cult classics today, but believe it or not, when they came out, they were flops at the box office. When each of these comedy movies were released, no one expected that these would become some of the most quotable and relatable comedies of all time, that people still watch, know, and love today. Let's see which ones you know and love, and which one is your favorite. Number 1. This movie was released on January 16th, 1998. This was back in a different and arguably better time in cinema when movie studios were willing to take more of a chance on theater releases. You almost never see a movie released like this in mainstream theaters today. This movie featured, at the time, a relatively unknown cast of comedians and comedic actors. The plot centered around stoner culture and basically had no mainstream topic or focus, other than the main character's love for having a good time and doing you know what. The film features a sensational plot where stoner roommates become unexpectedly enlisted in a mission to save their other stoner buddy who is in jail after feeding a police department horse too much junk food, causing the horse to suddenly pass away. The main character has a love interest that he pursues as a side plot, and in the end, he and his roommates save the day. This movie was Half-Baked, starring Dave Chappelle, Jim Breuer, Harland Williams, and Guillermo Diaz. This movie did relatively average numbers at the box office, grossing $17.5 million on an $8 million budget. It was greatly overshadowed by other movie releases that year, such as Belly, Rounders, and The Truman Show. More surprisingly, Half-Baked received overly negative reviews from critics, receiving an approval rating of 28% on Rotten Tomatoes and 16 out of 100 on Metacritic. These kinds of reviews carried a lot more weight at the time, and most likely contributed to the lack of momentum this film gave to the comedians who starred in it. Following the film's theater release, however, video and DVD sales and rentals of Half-Baked skyrocketed. The TV-friendly version of the film was aired constantly on cable networks like Comedy Central, and several lines from the movie have become so quotable among millennials and older Gen Z that it is almost annoyingly cliche to recite them to anyone today. Even though this comedy didn't instantly launch the starring comedians' careers, it certainly helped them build a long-term buzz in pop culture. Number 2. This movie was released on February 19th, 1999. Like Half-Baked, this movie featured a mostly unknown cast of actors, with the exception of Jennifer Aniston, who had some momentum from her starring role in the sitcom Friends. The film also had a small amount of buzz because it was written and directed by Mike Judge, who was well known for his success in creating Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill. The comedy featured relatable, depressing, jarring, and funny moments from everyday life working in an office. It was one of the first comedies to zoom in on this cross-section of American work life at the time, being released years before shows like The Office. The plot involves 3 office friends and co-workers, as well as a love interest that the main character pursues on the side. The 3 buddies devise a plan to rip off their despised employer by utilizing computer software to slowly steal money from the company's bank account. Things get out of hand with this scheme, causing the main character to become willing to own up to everything, and in the end, being saved by another disgruntled employee's revenge on their company, just after winning over his love interest. This movie was Office Space. It grossed $12.2 million at the box office on a $10 million budget, getting overshadowed by other 1999 releases like Big Daddy, Man on the Moon, and of course, American Pie. Office Space featured now iconic characters and movie quotes that you could say to pretty much anyone between the ages of about 25 to 45 today, and they would instantly get what you were referencing. Office Space proved to have more staying power than many of the blockbusters that overshadowed the film back in 1999, as Office Space is still well known today, while many of the others, with the exception of American Pie maybe, are less likely to be quoted and remembered. Number 3. This movie was released on April 26, 1995. This film's starring cast was very unique in that it not only starred an unknown comedian, but it also starred a well-known rapper and actor that, at the time, had not shown any signs of being funny or comedic in anything else he was previously involved in. Needless to say, this comedy that was basically about things that... By the way, let me just take a quick moment to tell you how much I hate both the subscribe and the like button. If you watch any of my other videos, you know how much I despise these buttons. Let me know which one you hate the most by hitting one of them. Now back to the video. This movie was Friday, starring Ice Cube and Chris Tucker. Though the potential or critical flop, it was completely overshadowed in a different way from the other 2 movies I mentioned. Friday grossed $27.4 million at the box office on a $3.5 million budget, and received many positive reviews from Major Payne, Billy Madison, and Jury Duty, which all starred more well-known comedians and comedic actors at the time. If you were a parent during this time, you were way more likely to send your kids to go see a movie that starred Damon Wayans, Adam Sandler, or Pauly Shore, the actors involved in exactly what made Friday a special, one-of-a-kind comedy that I would need to make an entirely separate video to go over all of them. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see me do a video like that. These universal and hilarious themes pushed Friday from the underground to the forefront of pop culture. This made Friday undeniable, to the point of becoming a film franchise, as well as launching the film career of Chris Tucker. Friday also proved that Ice Cube could not only be successful as a comedic actor, but that he had talent off and behind the camera, as well as on screen and on the mic. Friday references and quotes are just as relevant today as they were decades ago. These teach us that just because something doesn't blow up today doesn't mean that it won't be a legend tomorrow. But the story of these movies is nothing compared to how Daniel Tosh got rich off YouTube without having one single YouTube video or one single YouTube channel. Click this video right here to find out how he did it.